live from Los Angeles. Welcome back to Good Morning, LaLa. And we're so excited for Transformation Babe in the house. Tori Helf is she's a life coach. She basically helps people heal so they can excel. It's so important, right? Imperative when we come down to life coaching. How are you? You look gorgeous in that dress. I love that color.
Thank you so much. So honored to be here. Right. It's amazing to talk to you three.
So talk to us about, what is a transformational babe? Like, what would you say that is exactly?
So for me, transformation means healing mind, body, and spirit. We really have to hit all three. And so I have done a lot of work to call myself the transformation babe, not only in my education, but my experience. So I do have 3 degrees in psychology. I'm a certified yoga and meditation teacher, and I'm also trained as an energy psychologist or energy therapist. So I bring all that together to help people really do the inner work to reach their next level of success. Because that was even my story. You know, I came from a lot of trauma, a lot of difficulty, and I'm that really true story of tragedy to triumph. And for me, I'd reached a certain level of success. You know, I was a big HR manager. I'd reached the pinnacle of corporate, and I hit a wall. And it was really finding that inner healing purpose and who I really was.
It's so important.
What healing modalities were most helpful to you in your personal journey?
Yeah, at 21, I found yoga. And so I think that started to heal my body, because as we know, trauma really affects the body and the nervous system. And then I started to move into the psychology world. And so I started to work on my mind and my mindset, and that started to heal that aspect. And then about a decade ago, really, you know, spirituality was the big thing. I had to find purpose.
Got to go down, down, down.
Totally.
Tori, what would you tell those who are watching who are afraid to do the work? They're afraid of what they might uncover.
Absolutely. They estimate that 70 to 80% of people have experienced trauma, and they don't know it. And sometimes we are scared to go into it. So knowing that even though it feels like you might fall apart, it will get better, and trust in the process and find someone who can guide you. It's not easy to go into dark places alone. So even if it's a tribe or a therapist or a good friend, start just with the acknowledgement and the awareness, and know that it's not going to break you, it's going to break you open.
Right. So what would you say is the difference between someone just going to a regular psychologist versus taking on a life coach? What's the difference for you?
For me, therapy is very valuable, and I obviously believe in it, but a lot of it can get stuck in the past. So I really believe it gets you to functioning well, and that's its purpose. But I believe coaching is what gets you to flourishing and looking at your purpose. Why are you here? What are you meant to do? What are your gifts? How do you connect to your true self and take action on that? You know, we all can get a great strategy, but we get in our own way. The best strategy in the world won't move us forward if we don't do the inner work. And I know I've experienced that.
I love that. I think that's really eloquent. And I wonder, you mentioned a little bit earlier, like 70 to 80% of people have experienced some kind of trauma. How would you define trauma so people can sort of have an understanding of it?
Yeah, so they've actually, Kaiser Permanente did a huge study called the ACE study. It's Adverse Childhood Experiences. And they define trauma. So if people are unsure if they've had it, they can actually take a test.
Oh, wow.
And so it'll say, if you were under the age of 18, have you had any of these experiences? And then that also, on the flip side, to make it back to a little bit more positive, they have you take a resiliency test. Because we know that even if you've had trauma, if you have a lot of resiliency, you have a better chance of healing. But I truly believe, and I walk this deeply, that no matter what's happened to us, we have the power to heal and move forward.
So what does it look like for someone to work with you?
I work with people one-to-one. I coach because I like to go deep, and I'm also going to do a group, and transformational events are next.
Amazing.
Like Dr. Erin does with Soul Society.
Yes.
I love your work. Obviously, you work with Nick Pigeon. Big
Yes.
Shout out to Nick Pigeon.
Yes, Nick.
And thank you so much for all of your work. Please tell people where they can find you, follow you, work with you.
So my website is www.torihelf.com, and you can find me on Facebook and Instagram at The Transformation Babe.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
If you're going to
so much.
transform your life into one that you love, be sure to check her out. Stay tuned. We'll be back with more on Good Morning, La La Land.